Welcome to Budgeting 101. When it comes to setting a budget for yourself, you don't have to be a financial wizard. Managing your budget successfully has more to do with making a plan and building good habits that you can stick with over time. I'll talk you through where to start and some ways to increase your likelihood for success. For over 70 years, HORAN has delivered health, wealth, and life services to individuals, families, and employers designed around essential client needs. We believe that our core values of integrity, commitment, accountability, corporate social responsibility, and innovation are a key part of our success. Our values are embedded in the way we operate for our clients and the communities where we live and work. After today's presentation, you will understand the importance of having a budget, how to create one for yourself, and some key behaviors that can help you stick with it. Building and following a budget is important when it comes to reaching your financial goals. Take a moment to think about your own personal goals. Do you want to buy a house? Are you saving to send your kids to college? Do you want to pay off debt or take a big vacation? Maybe you just want to have enough money set aside to give you the peace of mind that you're covered during an emergency or major financial setback. Whatever the reason, setting a realistic budget and sticking to it can help you achieve your goal. So why is building a budget so important? Did you know that 40% of Americans could not come up with $400 if they had an emergency expense? Do you ever feel anxious about your own finances? If so, you're part of the 85% of Americans who do. And a staggering 42% of American workers anticipate needing their retirement assets for something other than retirement income. It's important to have a solid plan in place to help keep you focused so that you can meet both your short-term and long-term financial needs. So let's break this down into 3 steps. First, you need to have a good understanding of where things stand currently. Second, we'll talk about the importance of building an emergency fund. And third, we'll talk about any changes you may need to make. Step 1 is understanding your current spending habits and cash flow. To do this, you'll need to go through at least 3 months' worth of your credit card statements and bank accounts. Tracking your expenses in an Excel sheet can be a good way to monitor your spending and see trends over longer periods of time. But there's no harm in going the paper route. Just double-check your math and make sure to save previous month's data. Start with your cash inflow. Take a look at how much money you had coming in over the last 3 months. Not your salary, but what you net after taxes. This could come from several sources, so make sure you don't miss anything. Remember that if your employer deducts certain contributions from your paycheck, you'll want to add that back into your income for now and account for it again later as an expense. This could include things like HSA or FSA contributions, retirement plan contributions, like your 401k or a 403b. Next, you'll want to categorize your expenses. Look at any money going out of your accounts. Each expense should be tracked separately, but be sure to group them into these 3 categories. Necessary expenses, which should make up about 50% of your income. Savings and debt reduction, which should account for about 20%. And lifestyle choices, which usually accounts for around 30%. Keep in mind, these percentages won't be the same for everyone and may vary based on your age, income, lifestyle, and debt situation. Necessary expenses would include things like your mortgage or rent, utility bills, and grocery expenses. It may also include childcare. It depends on your situation, but simply put, it's things that you truly could not do without. Savings and debt reduction is pretty self-explanatory. This includes payments toward existing debt, any money going into your savings account, and of course this is where we would add back in any contributions from your paycheck towards HSA or FSA accounts or your retirement plans. The reason we add these contributions back into your income to start and count them here as an expense is because it's only fair to give yourself credit for the saving you're already doing behind the scenes. Transparency is important when it comes to budgeting, and you need to understand how much of your income is going towards your savings. Lifestyle choices are where most people can find some wiggle room if they're looking to cut back on their overall expenses. This is where we'll allocate things like trips to the movie theater, unessential clothing, and not a lot of people like to think of it this way, but cable TV and streaming services do fall into this category. Once you have a good idea of where your money is going now and how much you have coming in, the second step is to build your emergency savings. It may seem counterintuitive to put money aside each month if your credit card bills are piling up, but statistics show that having an emergency account with at least $1,000 set aside helps reduce the likelihood that you'll use credit cards to bail you out of an unexpected expense. Adding a $500 car repair to an already out-of-control credit card can increase the time it takes to pay off the debt and the amount of interest you pay over time. Ideally, you'll want to have at least 3 to 6 months' worth of your expenses in a savings account in case you lose your job or have an unexpected emergency. Now that you have a basic emergency fund to pull from, the third step is evaluating where you can and need to make changes. If you have more money coming in than going out, you may simply need to reallocate where excess money is going depending on your financial goals. For example, if your goal is to pay debt down faster, get your emergency fund built up to a comfortable level and then start putting more money towards debt and less in savings. If, on the other hand, you have more money going out than coming in each month, you'll have to look for areas to cut back or look for ways to increase your income. Start with the lifestyle category and see where you can make changes. But be careful not to be too restrictive. You'll still need to leave some room for fun, or you likely won't stick to the budget in the long run. Once your budget is built and you have a plan in place, how do you stick with it? Here are some tips to keep you on track. First of all, don't be too restrictive. It's important to still have fun, or you'll find yourself abandoning your budget before you really get started. Second, include the whole family when planning. You'll need everyone on the same page, and opinions of priority items might vary. It's best to get everyone's buy-in up front. Third, try not to change everything at once. Maybe rate shop cable one month, then tackle your cell phone provider the next month. Fourth, reward yourself as you hit small milestones. If you manage to stay in budget this month, reward yourself with a small treat, dinner out with friends, or a trip to Starbucks. Fifth, keep it in writing, digital or paper. It's important to see and review your budget regularly to keep it front of mind. Sixth, try to have someone else help keep you accountable. It might be your spouse or a trusted friend. Seventh, schedule time to review and reconcile your budget. Grab a glass of wine or a beer and spend an hour or two once a month making sure your bank accounts match up with your budget and what you recorded for spending in each category. If you go over somewhere one month, you'll want to adjust the next month to make up for it. Eighth, use any tools available to you. Some people prefer the envelope method, putting cash in envelopes labeled with that budget category and only spending what's in the envelope each month. Others find digital tracking works best, especially when you plan to use your debit or credit cards for spending. There are several options out there for budgeting apps or software. Mint.com is a popular free version accessible to your mobile device. Excel sheets are also very common, but do what works best for you. You should now be well equipped to get started. Follow our guide to draft your own budget plan and do your best to stick with it. If you feel you need more information or just a little more guidance, reach out to your HORAN account manager or visit HORANAssoc.com for more resources. Thanks for listening to Budgeting 101, brought to you by HORAN Retirement.